And now starring yours truly, today's edition of Fake News or Not.
We have seen some fierce blowback against President Trump's overtures to Democrats, specifically on this issue of DACA, from Conservative Talk Radio. I'm joined now by Steve Deace. He's host of a nationally syndicated show called The Steve Deace Show with CRTV. He's a columnist for Conservative Review. Comes to us from the heartland in Iowa. Steve, nice.
Thanks for having me, Chuck. I appreciate it.
Now, look, let me set our viewers straight. You've never been a huge Donald Trump supporter. You were a Ted Cruz guy during the Iowa caucuses, and you've been pretty tough critic on him in general. Walk me through where you are on DACA.
What I think is happening here is the president, beginning with his campaign, Chuck, cynically attempted to play on people's angsts and passions for his own political machinations, and didn't truly really understand what's driving people in between Los Angeles and the Beltway and why they're concerned. And, I wrote about this today for USA Today. The average DACA recipient makes about $36,000 a year if they're employed. 51% of working Americans don't make that much money a year. Their wages have been stagnated for over 20 years. I mean, I'm a product of a 15-year-old mom. I live in Des Moines. I own a small business, including my own show. One of my employees, his wife, recently lost her job at the Des Moines Register with media cutbacks. He came to me and asked me, hey, can I go on the company insurance? Well, today I got the price quote back from our insurance thanks to Obamacare. It would cost me another $1,300 a month out of my own pocket to put him on my insurance. I simply can't afford that. And a lot of Americans, Chuck, they're glad to see that this country is a beacon of hope and liberty for people around the world like it was for their ancestors. This isn't about mass deportation. People just want to know, when is it Americans' turn to have people wonder what's in it for them? When do their jobs come back? When do their wages grow? That's what it's about, Chuck.
You said that you thought that candidate Donald Trump was very cynical in how he played to this, because on one hand, he did seem to tap into this frustration that you just expressed. Do you think his supporters have just been conned?
Yeah. Exactly what I think. I mean, I've been saying this for a year and a half. I mean, I was one of the first people Trump and his folks came to because of where I live and the role I play in the caucuses several years ago, way back in 2013 when they thought about running. And, I flirted with the idea of supporting him out of a lot of anger at Chamber of Commerce corporatist Republicans who cynically just want cheap labor for their donors, regardless of what's best for the middle class in America. And then ultimately, after spending several months around him, vetting him, interviewing him, it was clear this guy just doesn't believe a lot of what he says. And I think you pointed that out in the opening of his clip. So I'm actually here fighting for the very themes that the 65 million people who voted for him last year actually voted for him for. I just wish maybe he'd actually start fighting for them. Obamacare is still here. We have record debt. When I was never Trump, Chuck, they told me if I didn't vote for Trump, we'd have amnesty, record debt, and Obamacare. And guess what? They were right.
That's pretty tough. But let me ask you this. We have seen in various polling, we've seen it in ours, and I've seen it in others, where there is a split between folks like yourself who weren't supporters of him from the beginning and those who were on board from the beginning. And his supporters are giving him a lot of leeway on this. His supporters share your frustration with the establishment Republican wing and seem to trust his instincts to punish them if it means doing deals every once in a while with the Democrats. They do seem to be giving him a longer leash than him. What's wrong with that?
I think we are misreading the leash. What is their alternative, Chuck? I mean, what's the alternative? More Obamacare, more debt, more taxes. We have wars over who gets to use which bathroom. I mean, that's it. Planned Parenthood is Jesus. I mean, that's essentially what Hillary Clinton ran on last year. There's no alternative. There's nowhere for these people to go. And so they... somebody that, frankly, most of them think may be nuts and or completely dishonest to try and send the Beltway a message. Will someone please finally listen to us and our concerns? We do most of the living, dying, and bill paying around here. We don't want to see a bunch of people deported. We want to see people prosper. But we want to prosper too, Chuck.
Is it possible? It's interesting you say that, because you did have a slice of Trump voters who weren't so ideological, maybe don't have the same conservative views that you have, but were so frustrated, they would like to see a shakeup, and they don't hate what he's doing with the Democrats, not because maybe they agree with it, because they think, well, at least it's shaking up Washington. In that sense, isn't he delivering on that promise?
Well, the problem is the prioritization, and this is where he risks losing the coalition. You're right; it's a very mercurial coalition. This is why they should have started with Obamacare. They should have started with taxes, and then addressed
they
this
tried to
issue.
start
Because
with
again,
Obamacare.
it comes down to prioritize.
They tried to start
No,
with
he didn't try.
Obamacare.
He
It
didn't-
blew up,
I mean,
well,
Chuck,
Congress
listen,
couldn't get it done.
Well, that's the problem. He outsourced it and then blamed them for the problem. Now, I'm no Paul Ryan fan, but I seem to recall, you were there, Chuck. Barack Obama campaigned for a year, coming off a much bigger campaign win than Trump had. He campaigned around the country for a year to get his party to vote for Obamacare at 2 a.m. on Christmas Eve at the end of 2009. Trump put in no political capital at all. He cynically jumps on Twitter today to rip ESPN, hoping that that's chum in the water for his base to forget that they're betraying him. It's time to stop pretending and portraying a president. It's time to start actually being one. All right, gentlemen, your thoughts.